I'm super excited to welcome another amazing guest this week, the fabulous DJ Pierce. So thank you so much for joining us today, DJ. How you doing?
Well, thank you. The fabulous. I love that kind of intro before my name. I'm good. I'm good. You're catching me on location right now in the midst of filming the second season of our show. We're here for HBO, but I'm so thrilled to chat with you. So thank you, Kenny, for having me.
No, thank you. The pleasure is all of ours. I want to jump right into the collaboration that you have with CoinCloud because I understand that you're teaming up as part with them as part of their latest campaign by starring in a short film called The Currency of Currency that's directed by Spike Lee. So I want to ask, could you tell us more about your involvement in this campaign?
Yes, well, I was absolutely thrilled when I was invited to be a part of this campaign, not only because of some of the great names that are involved as well, like, Kippick Sampson and MJ Rodriguez, Tiana Taylor, but also the fact that it was directed by the amazing legend and icon known as Mr. Spike Lee. I honestly was working on another project in Savannah, Georgia, when I got the call, and I was like, for real? Of course, count me in. And I was there. And then, of course, not only, the fact that Mr. Lee's involved, but the fact that it is with CoinCloud and the amazing things they are doing around currency. It was very interesting to me. And so therefore I was like, sign me up, count me in, and when do I fly? So that was it.
I know that's right. I'm so excited to hear that. And I wanted to ask, why do you think it's important to make digital currency inclusive, especially to the Black community and other communities of color?
Well, everything in our world should be inclusive. Everything should have an element of diversity to it. And we all know that our communities, especially Black and Brown communities, have been left behind with regard to a lot of innovations. And this move right here that CoinCloud is making with regard to digital currency is something that helps to give it greater accessibility to people from all different walks of life, especially communities that don't always have access to new types of wealth or currency. I'll say this because, when I was asking, getting into more of it about digital currency, because look, I'm diva on the go. I perform as Shangela and work in all lots of different areas. I want to continue to grow and work in that way. And I really wasn't up to speed on everything regarding the new digital currency. And I'm always learning. I consider myself a student of life because in a small town like Paris, Texas, a house with my grandparents for a large part. Then my mom was a military veteran, and when she returned from being out on tours, we worked together. But my mom worked probably 3, sometimes 4 jobs at a time. So it wasn't about necessarily building wealth. It was about keeping the lights on and paycheck to paycheck and making sure you have enough money to have food on the table and some of the stuff that I needed going to school. So it was later when I got out into the world, when I was the first in my family to really go to college and graduate and start working and learning about different ways of investing and saving money, not just having money, but saving money and the importance of saving money. Because when you grow up, when you ain't got no money, when you first get some money, you're like, oh, I got some money, and you want to spend it because you have money. We go out to eat. I want to pick up a tab for everybody because I grew up, we didn't have no money. I wasn't picking up no tabs. So, it's important that we get financial education because a lot of times, especially in Black and Brown communities specifically, we don't have access to financial education. What is a 401k? What is the importance of a 401k? What is the importance of saving money and building wealth? Why must you have a good credit score? Why must you watch out for the pitfalls of various credit cards? Why is it important to invest? What does a Roth IRA mean? What is that? What are different types of digital, especially time where people are talking so much more about Bitcoin and different ways to invest and utilize digital currency, not only here in America, but around the world. A lot of people go, oh, that ain't got nothing to do with me. And you just move on. Has nothing to do with, I don't know what that is. And you don't have the interest in learning because it wasn't something that was important to our community. Well, it is something that is very important to our community. So when this opportunity came along to partner, with CoinCloud in promoting education and research around digital currency, that's why I was excited to be a part of this.
Well, I'm so excited that you and so many other icons of color are choosing to be a part of this because, like you said, in a lot of our upbringings in communities of color, like these are things that a lot of us just didn't learn. So I'm really excited to see this collaboration blossom and just teach a lot of people about currency, digital or otherwise. But I want to like touch base on what you were talking about with your upbringing, because I wanted to ask, what was it like growing up in Texas as someone who's Black and queer? And I want to ask, how did those experiences shape who you are today?
Mhm. Well, I grew up in a very small town, like I mentioned before, Paris, Texas, which I love the fact that I grew up in a small town. I love now living in a large city. I live in Los Angeles. I went to college in Dallas, but I always go back to my hometown. I just bought my granny a house a year and a half ago in that small town and spent most of 2020 during the pandemic in there with my mom and her together. So, I think, but there are challenges in growing up in a small town as a Black gay person. I wasn't out. I don't think I was out to everybody then until I was probably like almost 18. I felt like I got in a college scholarship to go to college. I was leaving and I'm like, okay, well, I can be me now because I'm going to be gone anyway. But in addition to that, I think that in my mind, I was never super in anyway. I thought I was in, nobody knew I was gay, but child, I was a cheerleader. In addition to that, I was little gay me. But so yes, there were challenges. I grew up with my grandparents, like I said, for a large portion of my life. My grandma was we're in church on Tuesday for Bible study, Wednesday for choir practice, Sunday we were there 2 times a day, for the morning service, and then we come back for the afternoon service. I was the Sunday school teacher from the time that I was like 12 until I was 18. I directed the choir. I had one solo. They probably regretted it because I wasn't that lovely, but I played the piano at our church. So I was very involved in that aspect. And so being Black and being gay, and especially being very rooted in a Southern Baptist church, there were a lot of times where I'd hear messages from the pulpit that were like, by the way, homosexuality is wrong. And this, from like a guest pastor, because our pastor, we had a number of gays at our church. So our pastor kind of like just sidestepped the whole gay preaching for a good portion of it, but we'd have a guest pastor and they would do that. And so it would make me feel very uncomfortable. Being in a small town, when you stand out, a lot of times people are talking about you and it gets back to you or you hear it and it makes you want to suppress who you are. But I was very thankful that I had a very loving family. My grandma always encouraged me. She always was in my corner. If anyone spoke bad about me, she always like kind of built me back up in a way. And I'm very grateful for that because in life, you don't always have that. People don't always have families that support them. And even now I try to be like a great friend to people, help build them up because I know she impacted me. Being a person sometimes felt, even though I was, doing so much in school, I was involved in every club and activity. Child, I know they were tired dropping me off of practice and picking me up, but I just loved to be involved and I loved all of that. And so I know how important it is to have people that support you so that when you get those negative messages, that you have something somewhere that builds you back up.
I love that so much that you talk about so like happily too about your network or your family and friends who are around you who just encouraged you and who empowered you to just be you. That's beautiful because so many people, in our community just don't have that in the queer community. So that makes me really happy that you have that.
Oh, it made me happy too. I'm very thankful, for my mom. When I finally came out to her, she was like, she kind of like pushed me out a little bit because I was starting to come home with a lot of friends who were gay. Very, I thought I wasn't openly gay, but I was very gay. And we were doing, rehearsals and dances and everything. And so one day she just asked me, she said, I know your friends are gay. I like your friends. Are you gay too? And I was like, how could you ask me something like that? Oh my God, I can't, extra dramatic. But finally I came back to her and said, fine. And if I was, what? And she goes, then it would just, I would still love you. I just want to know. And I want you to be careful. I want you to be safe and all of that. And I was like, well, fine, I'm gay, but I look back at it. I was a teen, I was very dramatic, but I'm very grateful, very, very grateful for my mom, for my grandparents, and for people just being interested in knowing more. It wasn't like that with everybody, it was definitely not like that with everyone, but because I had the people who I felt like mattered to me the most in my life in my corner, then it made it a little easier of a blow for others.
Now, you last month was Pride Month, and you've been vocal about how you feel that Pride Month is about feeling value and purpose while wanting everybody around you to feel that way about themselves too, which I think is beautiful. So I want to ask, why is it important for you to make sure that others around you are feeling empowered? Because that's a beautiful thing.
Mhm. Well, I think that when we empower others around us, it also empowers as well. And I want everyone to live their best, most authentic, and fabulous lives. And I say that because I know how happy I am living mine. I know how much happier I am, embracing all the parts of who I am and trying to fortify those every day. It is not like every day I wake up and I'm the most absolute confident, most fabulous, I'm going to take on the world person. But if I get away from that, I know how to get myself back to it. I know how to encourage myself and I want to encourage others. That's why I think that it's so important that all of us have kindness in our heart, especially after a year like, what we've gone through with the pandemic in 2020. Well, we're still going away, but our entire world went through. And so many people are just living a very hard experience right now. So it's so important for us to meet others with kindness and uplifting, that our voices continue to amplify each other, but we try to go to our better place, not necessarily a place of putting other people down, because life has already put all of us down. It put us on pause for a good hot minute, and we're all coming back from that. It's so important that we try to understand that instead of in the moment where you could go off, let's say somebody cuts you off on the road and you're like, oh, I'm about to go off. Don't go off. My friend Alyssa told me, she's a drag queen, drag mother, Alyssa Edwards. She said, girl, we need to do more of the practice the pause. And I said, girl, what is practice the pause? She said, girl, when you about to go left and all of a sudden you take a second, you practice the pause. And that's what I've been working on as well. Let's all take a second and practice the pause and remember everybody's going through something. And don't you feel better? Won't you feel better if you know that you left a situation a little better than you walked into it? That's how I try to be.
I love that so much. And I might I say that you are dropping gems today, like all of these lessons that you're imparting upon us, important lessons I really appreciate. So that brings me to my next question. My next question of what is the biggest lesson that you've learned in your career that has helped you stay grounded in all of the success that you have?
Well, I'm a worker. My mom was a worker. Like I told you, I watched her work so many jobs as I was coming up. My grandpa was a farmer. I watched him work really hard his entire life as well. My grandma being a housewife, but raising, the family, watched really. So I'm no stranger to work. I think that visual lesson was always great to me because as anyone knows my journey, to RuPaul's Drag Race or even afterward, I've never been a person that I've had challenges with all of those situations, whether it was me being the first one in the RuPaul's Drag Race, in second season, I was the first one voted out. Third season, I was the first one brought back. And then I had, people feeling I shouldn't have been there because I'd only been doing drag for like 1 year. And here we are with this like huge competition. Or whether it was like my experience on All Stars 3 when I thought I was going to win, honey, I was into the final. And then it came down to a vote from other people in the competition who didn't vote me in. And I felt in those moments, I've always felt like, I was so close, I didn't get it, but I never gave up. I kept pushing because I've always had great goals in life. I've always been a goal-oriented person. I knew that in life, if something was going to happen, I had to work toward it because I saw people around me working toward things. So I never was a stranger to working. That's a great visual lesson. And then all the other great lessons I think I've gotten from my good friend, Jenifer Lewis. And Jen, she is a wealth of knowledge and experience, especially with regard to Hollywood and television and film and just in life in general. And, when I first moved to Los Angeles, I worked as Jenifer's assistant for 2.5, maybe 3 years. And then when I got after Drag Race, I remember her telling me, all right, now you become too famous to be my assistant, but I moved to the level in the pool. And so I did because I was trying so much. It made no sense for me to have my own place. And I remember I lived in a house, couldn't kick me out. I lived there for 10 years. I just because of the pandemic moved back, near closer to my family. But I lived in Jenifer Lewis's basement for 10 years. And you don't live with someone like Jenifer Lewis and work closely with them and become close friends without learning something. And I was gifted to be able to learn so much. And, as a drag entertainer, and someone who's working in Hollywood to get these lessons from someone who's known all of the ebb and flow of the entertainment industry, but also someone who also came from very humble beginnings in Kinloch, Missouri, and worked her way up. And she shared so much knowledge with me. She continues to. Every day, I just got off the phone with her a couple hours ago. She continues to share so much knowledge with me on a daily. And she'll always say real close, like, now take this in. And then next thing you know, it's coming. Here comes a good one. Here comes something good. And I've always journaled. I keep a journal of a lot of great things that I've learned so that I try not to repeat, some of the pitfalls or mistakes maybe that I've run into in my life. I'll look back at those things and go, all right, now why am I doing the same thing I was doing in 2016, baby? Let's pick it up. Let's clean it up. Let's do better.
Oh, I love that. And what a flex it is to be like, I lived with Jenifer Lewis for 10 years. That's such a flex. And I love that so
Is
much.
it a flex? I had a very high rent. I'm joking. I'm joking. She gonna say, don't you tell them I charge you. No, I ain't charge you nothing.
Oh, so I know we're coming to the end of our interview, DJ, and I want to close out by congratulating you for your show. We're Here being renewed for a second season. It was announced last month. So in this reality show, you helped to recruit small town residents to participate in one night only drag shows. So I want to ask, what has been your favorite part about this experience? And what is your hope that viewers can take away from this series?
Oh my gosh. We Here is one of the greatest gifts that I've gotten from the universe, being a part of this show. I co-host this show with my friends Bob the Drag Queen and Eureka O'Hara from RuPaul's Drag Race as well. And when the creators of the show, Stephen Warren and Johnny Ingram, first pitched the show to me, they said, look, we want you for this show, but let me tell you what it is. It's three, world famous drag entertainers traveling to small conservative spaces and teaming up with people there who have queer or queer adjacent stories that they want their voices to be amplified. And also they don't feel they have a strong community, an LGBTQ community or presence where they are. So we want to go in there, we want to see what community we can help to build and create by producing a one night only drag show, for this town. And the first season, we didn't know really what to expect, but watching it back and with it premiering during the pandemic and the height of it, in March of 2020, it was like, is anybody going to watch? Is anyone going to see this? And I remember being able, I was in the house with my mom and my grandma in Paris. Here I am in a small conservative town, right? Watching this show. And it touched me in such a beautiful way. I was bawling, crying after every episode. And I'm like, why am I crying? I was there. I made the show. But it's just so touching because it reminds all of us, I hope, who watch the show, We're Here on HBO when it comes back soon on HBO and HBO Max. You see the experience of gay people that really connects us. You don't have to look the same as the person. You don't have to live in the same city or even have the same experience. But what it's like to sometimes feel on the outside. A lot of people in our community know what that feels. See someone else go through it. But sometimes to see them champion that and not let it keep them down, it inspires all of us. You don't even have to be gay to know that in life, when your heart is hit, like Jen says, you mustn't quit. You got to keep on going. And so it's really amazing to be a part of the show. And I'm so thrilled, that we have an amazing network like HBO that supports us. And we got the Emmy nomination last year. Hallelujah. Yeah, we was Emmy nominated. Hey. Emmy nominated. And I'm excited to bring the show back because, honey, the second season, when I tell you that the stories are bigger and the stories are even more impactful. If you got something from season one, which still lives on HBO Max, you can go watch it if you haven't yet. You're going to definitely get something from season two. And I'm just excited to continue to work as a host of this program, also as a consulting producer on this program too. And, as a drag queen, okay, as an international, you can keep all great, international, well-known, famous, hallelujah. That's great. But I also just as a young Black queer person who also performs in drag, a lot of times we don't get a seat at the table of production, okay? They want us out there as the face. We go and do that piece of it. But I've always said this, that drag queens are some of the most intelligent, amazing, resourceful people out there because it's almost like a one-stop shop. And a lot of times you have to learn how to do so many things. And I'm so grateful to be able to bring every experience of who I am from the 10 years that I've been performing in drag to now this moment in producing these shows and helping to tell these stories and amplify these queer voices. It is so important. So I hope everyone gets a chance to see it. And, I'm doing this while also, working on different projects. I just finished filming a movie down in Savannah, Georgia with my good friend now, Luke McFarland, and still, working on other projects as well. And, to be able to have this one is just so amazingly special. And also it's inclusive and diverse. And, the stories that we told in season 1, oh, Kenny, when I tell you season 2, baby, the level, I'm proud to also have a show that has such a great level of inclusivity for our community. And it's talking about color, religion. It's like our gay world. There's just so many different levels to our world. All of those deserve to be showcased and shown and amplified. And the fact that not only in front of the camera, but also behind the scenes, because of this, me, Bob, and Eureka have been able to bring on our own unique design teams. And that way we have this is the gayest set. I swear to God, this is the gayest set. We got all of our designers, the people that we work with for years to create costumes for my team, specifically Diego Montoya, and Martine. And then I've got my makeup artist, Miss Luscious Massacre. And these are people that not necessarily have a huge history in working in television, but because we have this show, we've been able to honor our relationships with them for so many years and say, baby, now we got a show. All y'all pack it up. We all going on tour. And it's just really cool.
DJ, I'm so happy for you, and I'm so happy for everybody involved. I'm super excited for season 2. I know it's going to be amazing, like the last season. But I want to thank you so much, DJ, for coming on to the show today. Thank you for being just fabulous, like I knew you would be. So this has been such a great time, and I appreciate you for this opportunity. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And everybody watching, I appreciate y'all. And y'all keep up on me. Shangela's over on the Instagram at It's Shangela on pretty much every platform. I'm trying to get into TikTok, but I don't know if I got my little dance down yet. I'm working on it.
I'm too old.
No, we can do it, girl. Don't you worry. We can do it, kid. You just, we learned this. This is one of the ones that kiss you. Yeah. Oh, ow. Bob has it way better than I do. I'm still working on it.
we go get it. We go get it together. Period.
There you go.
But thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you again, DJ. With that being said, we're going to close out, and I hope everybody has a fabulous